Hello, welcome to this video lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about Recyclerview. But before I start, let's look at the lesson agendas. So here, the first item on our agenda is the Recyclerview Overview. So in this section, I'm going to be talking or explaining briefly about the Recyclerview. And then secondly, we are going to add the support libraries or dependency in our project. And those dependencies are going to be the Recyclerview dependency. And secondly, we are going to add the Recyclerview. Thirdly, we are going to add Recyclerview to the root layout. That is the layout you want to display the list of items. And the fourth item, we are going to be creating a custom layout. And the fifth and the sixth respectively, we are going to be creating a data class, okay, and also a Recyclerview adapter. And later we're going to display the data on the Recyclerview, and then finally we're going to set item click listener to the Recyclerview widget. Okay, so let's get started. So now I'm going to talk about I'm going to talk briefly on the Recyclerview. Recyclerview is a more advanced and flexible version of the listview widget. Recyclerview enables you to display a scrolling list of elements based on large data sets or data that changes frequently. In the Recyclerview, several components work together to display data. The overall container for your user interface is the Recyclerview widget you add on your layout, which is your root layout. In Recyclerviews, widget uses the layout manager to fill its views. Example of those layout managers, the grid layout manager and the linear layout manager. So the grid layout manager helps us it gives us this grid display, like it helps us to display our items in form of grids, that is in rows and in columns. Whereas the linear layout manager helps us to display our items in columns in a form of vertical manner. Okay, so that's enough for the Recyclerview. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do now is to add our support library to our project. So I already have the library which I'm going to be adding. Okay, I guess. Okay, so I have the Recyclerview dependency. So I'm going to copy this and go back to my view.gradle file. Okay, and I'm going to paste this here inside the dependencies. Awesome. So and Android Studio is asking me to sync the project. Okay, but before I sync that, I want to show you. Okay, it's already syncing. But while it's syncing, let me show you something. In case you can't get this dependency or you are watching this video later in the future, so you can just go to your activity main layout and switch to design. So as soon as you switch to design, you come down to commons and you should see Recyclerview widget here. So by default, if yours is not downloaded, you should see a download icon here. So just click on that and add it to your dependency. Okay. So that is it. So the next thing we're going to do now is to add the Recyclerview widget to our root layout. So the root layout which we are using is this activity main. So I want to display it here. You can see I've already changed the constraint layout to a relative layout, and I have a test view of hello world. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to remove this test view and replace it with the Recyclerview widget. And make sure you give it a width and a height of match parent. Oops. Okay, match parent. And I'm also going to give it an ID. So this ID will enable us to display the items also. So I'll give it an ID of Recyclerview. Okay, awesome. So now this is the only thing we are going to do for this layout. Okay, so now I can go on to close it. Okay, no need to close it, let me just leave it. So you can see my main activity is empty. I haven't added anything, and the build.gradle file, so I'm just going to close this up because we won't be needing that. So now the next thing we want to do is to create a custom layout model. So this model is going to define the structure or the layout of our list recycler view item, how we want the data to be, how we want there to be positioned, the number of items we want to display. So this custom layout model is going to handle that for us. So what I'm going to do now, I'll go to my layout. Okay, go to resource and your layout, right click on it. Okay, just right click on it to create a new layout. Go to new and layout resource file, and here we can give it a name. So I'm just going to give this custom model. Okay, so leave everything as it is and click OK. Okay, so here now I'm going to define the widgets which we want to display. So it's on design tab, so I'll switch to split and change this constraint layout to a linear layout. Okay, so I'm also going to give it an orientation of vertical, and the layout height will be wrap content. Okay, so since I want to display a title and a subtitle in this recycler view, I'm going to add two widgets. So one will be for the title, and it's going to have a width and height of match parent. So I will give it a test, but I'm going to remove this test later because we will be using the recycler view to populate the list, this test view. So I'm going to give it a test of title, and I'll give it an ID so that I'll be able to reference it in my main activity, in my recycler view adapter, sorry. So I'll give this a view title, and I want to give it a test size. So this is going to take in 25. Okay, and I'm also going to give it a little bit of padding. So this padding will be 20. Awesome. So I also want this color to be dark, so I'm going to give it a dark color. Alright, so that is it. So next I'm going to create another one for the test view. So instead of typing this, I'm just going to copy and paste. Okay, so I will change the test to subtitle. Okay, then change the ID to view subtitle, and I will reduce the size to 20 since it's a subtitle, and I don't want it to be black as well, so I'm going to remove this text color. So let it just take a grayish color. Awesome, so this is it, and we have the IDs and we have our custom models, but now we have not bind this custom model anywhere. Okay, so now what we are going to do now is to create a model class and a recycler view adapter class. But before I do this, I'm going to create a new package folder and create the both classes inside. So this will help make the project simple and much more readable. So I will go to my Java folder and my main package, right click on it, go down to package. So I want to give this a package name, so I will say Recyclerview holder. Okay, so this is the name of the package. Awesome, so we have the package created. So inside this package I'm going to create two classes. One is for the data, the model class. So this model class, we are going to create a string of view based on the data to be displayed on the recycler view. The string of items to create are going to be based on the widgets defined in the custom model. So in this custom model, we created two test views for title and subtitle. So when we create the model class, we are going to put in a string of title and a string of subtitle. So I'm going to right click on the new created package and scroll down to Kotlin file class and select class, and we'll give this view model. Awesome, so we have created a view model, so I need to add the data behind this. Okay, so now I'm going to define the string of items. So I'll declare a variable title for the first one, so it's going to take a data type of string, and also I want to create another one for the subtitle. So this is going to be subtitle, and I'll give it a string variable. But in case in some scenario you might have an image view here that you want to display. So to do that, you can, and to bind the items also, you can just add another variable for the image. Okay, so you can just add string. And if you also have a rating bar, let's say you put a rating bar, you can just give it an int data type. Awesome. But since we are working with only subtitle and title, I'm just going to leave this as it is. Awesome. So now we have created our view model. The next thing I want to create now is an adapter. So this adapter is going to extend the Recyclerview adapter. The adapter creates a view holder as needed. The adapter will also bind the view holder to their data. This will be achieved by assigning the view holder to a position and calling the adapter onBind view holder method. The method uses the holder's position to determine what the content should be based on its list position. Okay, so enough of the talking. I'm going to, this my newly created package. I'll right click on it, go to Kotlin file class, select class, and I'm going to give this view adapter. Okay, press enter, and this will create a new adapter for us. But inside this adapter, I'm going to create a parameters of 2 items. So one is going to be for the context, and the second one is going to be the array list that is going to hold this view model. So I'm going to save, okay, arrow list, and then I extend array list, and it's going to take the view model. Awesome. So I also want to extend this view adapter to take in Recyclerview dot adapter. Okay, so I'll be passing the name of the class, which is view adapter. Okay, dot view holder. So this view holder is going to be an external class. So I'll just say view holder. Okay, right now it's showing red. That is because we haven't created the view holder. So I'm going to create that later on, but this, we need to handle this class now. It's showing red, so we need to implement some members. So right click on this and scroll down to generate. Go to implement members and make sure you select these 3 items on create view holder, on item count, and on bind view holder. Click OK. So this will just generate all of them for us. So I'm going to remove this as well. Okay, so now we have our onCreate view holder, get item count, and onBind view holder. So inside this onCreate view holder, I'm going to be inflating this custom layer, this custom model, since it's where our data will be displaying. So I'm going to assign it a root, okay, a variable of root. So I will say layout inflator dot layout inflator dot okay, sorry, it's supposed to be, it should be equal to, so I will say layout inflator dot from, so I'll pass in the context variable which I created. Okay, and you say dot inflate. So we're going to be inflating this custom model. So type your arrow, which is the resource dot layout dot custom model. Okay, so we need to import the arrow first. So I'm going to do that, and so I would go again, type custom model. Okay, then I want to return a view group. So I'm going to pass this parent view group inside. Okay, then attached to root, I'm going to set that to false. Awesome. So now I want to return the root layout. So I will say return, and I'll type in my view holder class which I created. So I will say view holder. And make sure you don't press enter, because if you press enter, it's going to import Recyclerview.viewHolder, and that is not what we want. So we want this our class. When we are creating this our class, it's going to extend the RecyclerView.ViewHolder, but we don't want to do it here. See, if I press enter, it's returning this RecyclerView.ViewHolder, but I don't want it that way, so I'm just going to leave it like this, and then we pass the root inside. Okay, so that's all for the create view holder. So the item count, since we don't know the number of items we are going to display on the recycler view, I'm just going to return the size of the array list, which is here. So whichever item, whichever number of items that is inside this view model is going to populate the recycler view. So I'm just going to return array list dot size. Awesome. So now we are going to bind our view holder, but before I do that, I need to create the view holder class. So I'm going to create an inner class here. Okay, and it's going to take the name view holder, and I want to pass a parameter to this, so I will say item view. Okay, and I will assign it the item view is going to take a view. Okay, and I also want to extend the RecyclerView.ViewHolder. Okay, and then I'm going to pass in a parameter, which is the item view, which we created. Okay, so I also want to open this stuff up. So now I'm going to create a function, a bind item. So this function is going to enable us to bind our item to each respective views. So I will say bind items, and it's going to take a parameter list, and then I'll pass in this view model. Okay, and open this up. So now I want to get the variables from this custom models. So I'm going to get the title and also the subtitle, and then bind it to the title and the subtitle of this view model. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, I will say file title equal to, so I will access it using this item view. So I will say item view dot find view by ID. Since it's a test view widget, so I'm going to pass test view there, and then I will get the title. Okay, then secondly, I want to also get the subtitle. Okay, and using the same method, so I will access the subtitle here. Awesome. So now I want to bind the test, the view model. So whichever value that will be passed inside this view model class will be assigned automatically to this test, this title and the subtitle. So I'm going to say title dot test. Okay, so I'll assign it to list. So I'll be accessing these values using this list that I created here. So I will say list dot the title. Awesome. So now also assign the subtitle as well. So I will say list dot subtitle. Okay, so this is it. And before I go on to the next side, we need to call this bind item. So what I'm going to do inside this bind view holder, is going to bind each of the items. So what I'm going to do, I will say return holder, which is this view adapter.view holder. So I will say return holder dot bind items. So we are calling this stuff here, and it's taking a view model. So I'm going to pass the array list. I'm passing this array list because we have already passed the view model inside the array list. So I'm going to say array list and open your square bracket, and then pass on this int position. So I'm going to pass the position inside. Okay, so this is awesome, and now we are having a fainted view adapter. That's because we haven't called it in our main activity. So now we'll go to the main activity and actually display these data. Okay, then we are going to set the layout manager and finally assign the adapter to the recycler view. Okay, so I'm going to go to the main activity, and here I need to get the instance of the recycler view ID and also get the instance of this view adapter. Okay, so now I'm going to say private late var, and I will say Recyclerview since there's a name. Okay, import that, and I also want to get that for the view adapter, so I'll do the same thing, and I'll give it the name of adapter. Okay, and we'll say view adapter. Awesome. So next I want to also create a variable of array list. So this variable is going to hold all our items. So I will say view, okay, still giving it the same name, array list, and I will set it to array list, and then I'll pass in the view model inside, and make sure you close this. All right, so now I'm going to initialize the Recyclerview inside our onCreate method. So I will say Recyclerview equal to find view by ID. So I will get the Recyclerview widget. Okay, so now I want to give this Recyclerview a linear layout, since we want it to be displayed in vertical way. So I'm going to say Recyclerview.layout manager. So I will say linear layout manager. But assuming you want to display them in grid form, so you can just say grid layout manager, and then you can pass your context and the number of rows you want to show. That is the item count, the spam count of 3. If you want 2 rows, you can just select 2, whichever one you want to do. So you can still experiment it with this lesson also. But here I'm using linear layout manager, so it's taking only one argument, which is the context. Awesome. So now we are going to add the items inside our array list. Since I don't have any way I'm fetching this data from, we are going to type them manually. Okay, so I'm going to say array list dot add. So we are going to add it inside the view model. So I'm going to pass the view model inside, and you can see the view model is taking 2 arguments, the title and the subtitle. So the first title I want to pass in is Kotlin, and I'll say awesome language. Okay, I hope I'm spelling it well. Language. Awesome. Okay, so but now I'm going to pause this video and then just add more list items. Okay, so I've done that. We have many items. They are all having Kotlin, so you can just change them to Java. Okay, any language you want to put that on, but I'm not going to do that because this is going to take much of our time. So I'm just going to leave it like this, but you should see all these items populating the list when we run the app. Okay, so this is the number of items you are running. But assuming you are just fetching this data from a JSON or JSON, which you're going to be doing in the next video. Assuming you are fetching this data from the JSON or our SQLite database, you don't need to type in all these. Just type only one and pass it, because you're using the for loop to just loop through the items and it will all display. Okay, so you're going to understand that in the next video, and I promise I'm going to put a link in the description below. Okay, so now we have all our items added to the array list. Now what we are going to do is to initialize this adapter, and if you remember, the view adapter is taking 2 arguments, the context and also the array list. So we are going to initialize this adapter and then pass in the context, and then we pass in this array list which we created here that has been populated with all these data. Okay, so I will scroll down below. So I will say adapter, and then I will initialize it, and I will say view adapter, and it's taking 2 arguments. So the first one is the context, which is this, and then we'll pass the array list inside. So awesome. So now I need to set this adapter to the Recyclerview. So I'm going to say Recyclerview.adapter, and I will set it to the adapter. Okay, and I also want to do one more thing. So this one is optional, but if you're using a JSON, you will need to put it. So I'll say adapter.notify data set changed. Okay, so this is all, and you can see our code is looking nice, no error so far. Everything is selected. We have the custom model, the view model, the adapter. Okay, so now I'm going to run this application so that we can see the final output. Okay, so let's wait for Gradle to do the building for us. Okay, so our app has been built successfully. So let me see. Let me bring out my emulator. Sorry. Okay, so here we have all the items. So you can see how the items, each of them has successfully populated the recycler view, and you can see the scrolling effect. Awesome. So this is nice. But now if we click on these items, nothing is actually happening. So what I want to do is, when we click on these items, I want to actually display the title as a toast. So to add that item click listener, I'm going to do that inside the view adapter. So inside the view adapter, I will scroll down. So I can, if assuming I want to add an item click to the title, I can do that. If I want to add to the subtitle alone, I can do that. But if I want to add when the user just clicks anywhere on the list, this particular item, so I can also do that. So to do that for the title, you can just use title.setOnClickListener, and that should work. We can also do subtitle.setOnClickListener. It's also going to work. But since I want them to click on the item itself, so I'm going to say item view, which is the name I'm giving to this inner class parameter. So I'm going to say .set on click listener. So I'm going to show a toast. Okay, so the toast is going to take a context, and which is CTS, and remember this CTS is coming from the variable we created here, this context variable. Okay, so I'm also going to pass a test, but the test, I'm going to store it in a variable. So I can just say that, okay, I can just say title test equal to, so I will access it using the list dot title. Okay, so whichever value that is inside is going to be passed inside this one. So I'm going to give it a test of title test. Awesome. So now we have the toast set up. So I'll go ahead and run the code again. Okay, so let me bring up my emulator. And so we have the items populated. So when we click on this, we should see Kotlin, since it's what we are selecting. So if we click on that, okay, Java, we are seeing Java as the toast. So let's see that. So when you click on the item, you can see, even if you click here, you should see the that. And let me do that for the JavaScript as well. Awesome. So far so good. You have learned how to create a recycler view. You have seen how I populated the recycler view by creating a custom model, a view model, and a recycler view adapter. And I successfully added an item click listener to each of the items in the recycler view. Awesome, right? So that's all for this video. So in the next tutorial, I will be populating the recycler view from a web service. So it's going to be coming from a JSON data. So if you love this video, please do well to subscribe, like, and please share the video to your friends. Okay, so because sharing is caring. When you share to people, when you subscribe to my channel, I actually get motivated and create more exciting videos. So thank you guys for watching this video. I'm going to see you in the next lesson.